After 10 years of chopping wood, I am invincible. 1 Chapter 1, God-level selection system. Dakin, Jinwyuzong, Jiankapik, the backyard of the dining hall. Crack. Meng Xing raised his axe, went down with one axe, and split the erected wood in half, neatly. He has been in this world for 3 days, and he has also chopped firewood for 3 days. In Jiankapik, he was a low-level outer sect disciple. His daily work was chopping firewood. Apart from eating and sleeping, he hardly stopped for a moment. Euphemistically called it training. Both palms are already thick calluses. This kind of work, the predecessor has been doing for 3 years, and there is almost no day in Jiankapik. Meng Xing, who came through, also wanted to resist, but his strength was not as good as others. If he resisted a little, there would be more hard work waiting for him, and he would be severely beaten. Meng Xing also practiced the exercises seriously, but the exercises passed on to him were of the lowest level. After practicing for a few years, he still failed to open his pulse and was instead scolded as a waste. Condensing Qigong, Huang level low grade, 10 years of practice, can open the pulse. Meng Xing recalled the exercises he had learned, and couldn't help but complain for a while. It took 10 years of practice to open his pulse. He wanted to cut off his cultivation path abruptly. People who pass on their own practice can be punished. The predecessor has been abandoned for 3 years, and I can no longer be abandoned, otherwise this life will really be abandoned. Drip. After chopping 200 caddies of firewood, a screen panel that only he could see finally appeared in front of him, with a string of characters on it and 3 options written on it. 1. Continue to chop 300 caddies of firewood. 2. Go to the library to read for 2 hours. 3. Go and say I love you out loud to senior sister Lu. The system rewards are random. If there are no special circumstances in the future, no more prompts will be given. Meng Xing breathed a sigh of relief. The system finally appeared, and finally no longer had to work so hard to chop wood. However, the second option is go to the library. With such a low status, how can you go to the library to read books? Not enough permissions at all. Also, what the is option 3? Saying I love you to senior sister Lu aloud. Doesn't this think that you are dying too slowly? Senior sister Lu is a disciple of the inner sect Tianjiao, and her strength is even more terrifying. She is even expected to become the true disciple of the peak master. She is also a stunning beauty. There are countless people who like her. If you hack, you will be hacked by others. It seems that I can only choose the easiest way to do it. Although it is a bit tiring, it is a little rewarding. Meng Xing chose the first option and continued to chop wood. In his mouth, he recited, therefore, when heaven will give a great responsibility to man, he must first suffer his mind and will, labor his muscles and bones, and starve his body and skin. An hour later, the 300 caddies of firewood were finally chopped. Meng Xing felt numb in his hands and feet, and his whole body was dripping with sweat. The task has been completed. Random reward, strength +1. Meng Xing only felt that a force appeared out of thin air, pouring into his body, and his hands and feet that were so numb that they didn't want to move regained some strength. Not bad, not bad. With the system, in this world where strength is respected, I can finally have a bit of power. Meng Xing felt joy in his heart. Today's work has been completed. The sky will be dark. Meng Xing has eaten a meal in the dining hall, and plans to wander around to trigger the system options. Hanging around for a while where the outer disciples of Jiankapik can go. As the lowest outer disciple, there are not many places he is qualified to go. At this time, I saw a female disciple from the outer sect wielding a sword on the training ground. Her sassy demeanor and slender and graceful figure caused a group of male disciples to stop and watch, all eyes glowing like a hungry wolf. Meng Xing shook his head, a little speechless. These people exuded the breath of male hormones, and even the air was dyed yellow by them. At this time, another series of numbers appeared in front of him, which made his eyes light up, and the system finally triggered again. 1. Move on. 2. Practice swordsmanship with Luoyao and dance with beauty. 3. Laughing loudly at other male disciples. Meng Xing resolutely chose the first option. The others were all at the rhythm of death, so he didn't have to choose. Meng Xing continued to walk forward without stopping to watch. The task has been completed. Random reward, Constitution +1. Meng Xing felt that there seems to be an invisible aura that swam in his body for a week, and then disappeared in a flash. His physique seems to have improved a little, and people also felt a little more spiritual. Continue. Meng Xing was in high spirits. The task has been completed. Random. Reward. Strength +1. The task has been completed. Random reward. Constitution +1. After wandering around for a while, I triggered several random rewards, all of which were very easy tasks. It seems that the system also knows that his strength is low, and gives him some wool. But unfortunately, the system did not reward him with a set of exercises, which was what he lacked the most. Seeing that it was getting late, he went back to his residence and sat cross-legged on the bed, preparing to try the low-grade Huang level condensing Qigong. After condensing the breath and following the formula of condensing Qigong for an hour, Meng Xing had no choice but to give up. This condensing Qigong is simply rubbish, it is better not to practice it. Meng Xing had to lie down and sleep. Early the next morning, he got up in good spirits and continued to chop wood in the backyard of the dining hall. Meng Xing was surprised to find that he wielded his axe more easily. The strength and physique rewarded by the UU reading www.uukangsha.com system greatly improved his strength. After half an hour, the system triggered the task again. 1. Continue to chop 300 caddies of firewood. 2. Ask Zhang Sunto to give himself a day off. 3. Ask Luo Yao to take himself to the library. Zhang Sunto was the general manager of the dining hall. He was in charge of the food and drink of the entire Jianke Peak outer disciples. He was also the only inner disciple of the dining hall. Under his instructions, the predecessor was beaten several times, the most serious one was almost beaten to death, and he was also the most hated enemy of the predecessor. Meng Xing was helpless, it seemed that he had to choose the first one, and the other tasks were difficult. Just as he was about to choose number 1, he saw 3 women approaching the dining hall. One of the women was the outer disciple Luo Yao, who was graceful and beautiful. On the other hand, Zhang Sunto, the head of the dining hall, was standing at the entrance of the dining hall. He had a big belly and watched the 3 women greet each other with smiles, showing his diligence. Although Meng Xing was standing in the backyard was only surrounded by fences, so he could see the front yard clearly. Soon, Zhang Sunto welcomed the 3 beautiful women into the dining hall. You can't have a house if you lick a dog, Meng Xing complained in his heart. However, he was a little hesitant to ask Luo Yao to take him to the library. He is Jianke Peak's lowest errand disciple. From the outsider's point of view, it is difficult to enter the inner door. But Luo Yao is a genius of the outer sect disciples. It is probably very easy to enter the inner sect. Naturally, there will be that kind of arrogance of superiority. Where there is arrogance, why not try it? Thinking of this, Meng Xing put down his axe and walked into the dining hall. Chapter 2, The Toad Wants to Eat Swan Meat. In the dining hall, Meng Xing came to the table of Luo Yao and others. Meng Xing, what do you want to do? Hurry back and chop wood. Zhang Sunto shouted with displeasure on his face when he saw Meng Xing. Director Zhang, I have something to say to senior sister Luo Yao. Meng Xing said without salute, his expression was indifferent. You must not be rude to junior sister Luo Yao. Hurry back. Zhang Sunto looked stern. He had seen Meng Xing a lot. Which one was not a toad who wanted to eat swan meat and wanted to climb a tall branch like Luo Yao and climb to the sky in one step? Even he himself, as an inner disciple, feels that Luo Yao has a bright future. As long as she is attracted to her, his road will be much easier in the future. Such a mess. Meng Xing ignored him, just bowed his hands to Luo Yao and said, Senior sister Luo Yao, I want to go to the library to read books, but I don't have enough authority. Can you take me there? The task has been completed. Random reward. Lei Yuan Tian Gangju, Xian level low grade. Meng Xing was overjoyed. It turned out that as long as he acted, he would be rewarded, regardless of whether Luo Yao agreed or not. Zhang Sanji's face was full of murderous intent. If it wasn't for Luo Yao's presence, he would have already had a seizure and beat Meng Xing half to death in front of him. Luo Yao glanced at Meng Xing strangely. She was not familiar with Meng Xing, and didn't understand why he asked him to take him to the library. Could it be that he was close to him like everyone else? This method is too clumsy, isn't it? Luo Yao was about to refuse, but she saw Meng Xing cupped her hands again and said, Excuse me, whether senior sister Luo Yao is willing or not, thank you. After Meng Xing finished speaking, He turned away. Without hesitation. Luo Yao was stunned. I haven't refused yet. You already know my thoughts, but a sensible person who walks neatly and doesn't bother me like other people. However, I have seen a lot of this hard-to-play trick. Snort? I just ignore it. How about you? Luo Yao didn't speak, watching Meng Xing go to the backyard to chop wood, but never came to beg her again, which made her feel strange for a while. Meng Xing walked to the backyard and saw a prompt popped up from the system. Do you want to receive the reward you have obtained? Receive. A mysterious aura immediately poured into his body, circulated in his body for a week, and then poured into his danshan, and opened a spiritual vein there, like a river, circulating in his danshan endlessly. At the same time, Lei Yuan Tiangang Juice operation method poured into his mind, making him familiar with the secret operation of the method. Yes, it's worth taking a little risk, and the reward is huge. With the Lei Yuan Tiangang art, the spiritual veins have also been successfully opened. Meng Xing looked at the thunder spirit vein in his danshan, where the aura of the thunder attribute circulated endlessly. Although the spirit vein was only 1 foot, the improvement of his own strength was huge. At this moment, he felt full of power. However, my strength can't be revealed. If I trace it, I don't know how to explain my strengths. It's better to be steady and low-key. Meng Xing restrained some overflowing breath, raised his axe, and continued to chop wood. Crack, kick. A piece of wood has been split, and what felt painful and tired yesterday is a joyous thing today. This is also because of the increase in strength, which makes it easier for him to chop wood, without losing physical strength at all. And because of the operation of Lei Yuan Tiangangju in the body, he is still constantly absorbing the spiritual energy of the outside world, improving his strength little by little. The job of chopping wood is also easier. Meng Xing glanced at the front yard of the dining hall. Zhang Sandu was still courting Luo Yao. He might cause trouble for him after a while, but he had to figure out a way to deal with it. It is said that Zhang Sandu is a martial artist of the 9th order of the Open Pulse realm. His strength is very terrifying, and he is only 1 step away from the condensation realm. As long as the strength reaches the 7th level of the Open Pulse realm, it can automatically be promoted to the inner disciple. Meng Xing's spiritual veins in his body are only 1 foot, and he is only at the 1st order of open veins, which is naturally far from the 9th order. After half an hour, Luo Yao and the others left the dining hall. As expected by Meng Xing, Zhang Santu came to the backyard and stared at Meng Xing like a sharp arrow, as if he was about to pierce him. Meng Xing's heart tightened and he continued chopping firewood. I can't see that you are a chopping wood kid who wants to eat swan meat and wants to have a relationship with Luo Yao Jr.'s sister. Unfortunately, Luo Yao Jr.'s sister doesn't pay attention to you at all, and doesn't want to say a word to you, Zhang Sandu sarcastically said. Meanwhile, Junior's sister Luo Yao told me 20 sentences, and drank the famous tea biloxiang that I brewed for her, and left very satisfied. Today, I am very happy. The distance is getting closer. For the sake of my good mood, I will spare you today. In the future, you must not appear in front of junior sister Luo Yao. If you dare to appear again, I will definitely make you look good next time. How can junior sister Luo Yao like you for someone like you? You don't even look in the mirror. Toads are much prettier than you. Remember, junior sister Luo Yao is mine. Zhang Santu spit splattered, and after he finished speaking, regardless of Meng Xing's reaction, he turned and left with a look of disdain on his face. To be honest, he didn't put Meng Xing in his eyes at all, who was not successful and had a hopeless future. He was thrown into the dining hall as a marginal figure, and the end of his life was doomed. Unless it is to leave the Jinwu sect and join other sects. But this is easier said than done. To be accepted as an outer disciple by Jinwu sect is already a great luck, and to go to other sects, there are even more demanding conditions. And once they leave Jinwuzong, they will be regarded as betraying the sect, and they will be hunted down by Jinwuzong. So unless forced, no one will leave Jinwuzong. Yu reading www.uukanshu.com. Meng Xing was extremely speechless. Even Luo Yao didn't promise you. You dared to say that junior sister Luo Yao is yours. Didn't you tarnish Luo Yao's reputation? Also, you are the toad, okay? You look like a big belly, like a toad with a big belly. Meng Xing complained wildly in his heart, but 3 options were displayed in front of him. 1. If you can't bear to be small, You will make big plans, think long-term, and beat him next time. Second, a battle with Zhang Suntu. The result is that you will be beaten half to death. 3. Relying on the 3-inch tongue to incite senior sister Luo Yao to fight Zhang Suntu. Meng Xing chose the first item without hesitation. He was not strong enough to provoke Zhang Suntu for the time being, so he endured it. As for instigating senior sister Luo Yao to fight Zhang Suntu, this is even more difficult to complete. How could Luo Yao listen to herself? Moreover, based on the strength of Luo Yao, an outer disciple, he was definitely not an opponent. Of Zhang Suntu, an inner disciple, and he was not stupid, and would not hit a stone with an egg. Although the more difficult the task, the more generous the random reward may be, but it is necessary to have a life flower. Therefore, Meng Xing did not consider the latter two options at all. The task has been completed. Get a random reward, strength +1. Seeing Zhang Suntu leave, and feeling the improvement of his own strength, Meng Xing sighed, but he was still not strong enough. Otherwise, how could he endure the opponent's brilliance in front of him? Meng Xing continued to chop wood, and after completing today's task ahead of schedule, he walked out of the dining hall and continued to wander outside to trigger the system reward. When I came to the training ground, I saw that Luo Yao was still practicing swordsmanship there, and there were still many male disciples with hungry wolves in their eyes. Chapter 3, Xiao Yuluo, your piano skills are not good. Meng Xing stopped and watched for a while, then shook his head and left. The system did not trigger this time, and it seemed that there were no special circumstances. Meng Xing now also understands that this system will not be triggered unless there are some special circumstances. Meng Xing came to the other side of the training ground. There were 2 male disciples sparring and fighting fiercely. Except for some female disciples, other male disciples went to Luo Yao's side. More attractive. The female disciples were chattering, and each one of them excitedly stared at one of the handsome and slender male disciples, looking as if they could not wait to pounce. The system triggers and 3 options appear. 1. Walk away in a low-key manner. 2. Go up to 1. Pick 2. 3. Say to those female disciples, you are nympho. Meng Xing decisively chose 1, and the other 2 tasks were the rhythm of death, so he would not play. Meng Xing felt more and more that this system seemed to particularly like to kill himself. He seemed to want it to escape after he killed himself. No wonder it took 3 days to show it to himself. What? The task has been completed. Get a random reward, Constitution +1. Nice, keep going. Feeling that his physique had improved a little, Meng Xing continued to walk forward. After scouring the wool, it was only reasonable to withdraw quickly. Passing through a yard, I heard the beautiful sound of the violin coming from the yard, like spring water flowing, and like big beads and small beads falling on a jade plate. Very pleasant. Meng Xing couldn't help but stop and listen. 3 more options appeared in front of him. 1. Continue to listen to a song. 2. Go into the yard to disturb Xiao Yuluo playing the piano. 3. Complain loudly on the spot. Xiao Yuluo, your piano skills are not good. The last 2 options are all quests to kill, and the system really wants to kill me. Meng Xing looked around and there was no one around, and hesitated for a while. Those who starved to death were cowards, and those who survived were daring. Do you want to madly die once, and then get more generous rewards? Xiao Yuluo was obviously the owner of this yard. Anyone who could own a yard in Jiankapik was not low-ranking, and as Meng Xing's low-level disciple, he could not know who this Xiao Yuluo was. However, this place is also within the range that outer sect disciples can go around. Thinking about this, Xiao Yuluo is also an outer sect disciple. Fight. Meng Xing gritted his teeth. He also wanted to see what rewards would be given for completing this 3rd task. The reward for completing the 3rd mission last time was a set of Lei Yuan Tian Gang art, which allowed him to open up the Lei Ling vein and make a lot of money. There are relatively few people who open the Thunder Spirit vessel. It is said that out of 1,000 people, only 1 person can open the Thunder Spirit vessel. What will be the reward this time? Meng Xing was really curious. Xiao Yuluo, your piano skills are not good. Meng Xing suddenly said loudly. Whizzing. 3 figures immediately appeared beside him, and the speed was shocking. Looking for death. Boy, how dare you say that Hufa Xiao's piano skills are not good, said a young man with a sword on his back. How can you judge Xiao Hufa's piano skills? Another young man said with his arms crossed. Who Is your master? How dare you be so bold? Even if your master is here today, he can't save you, the last young man said sharply. The breaths of the three were extremely powerful, which made Meng Xing feel a lot of pressure, and cold sweat broke out on his body. Sure enough, this task is not so easy to complete, it is simply the rhythm of death. The task has been completed, and a random reward will be obtained. Jing Shui Wave Yuan Gong, Xian level low grade. Sure enough, it was another Xian level low grade exercise, and the reward was very good. In Jinryu sect, only inner disciples can learn Xian level exercises. Most of the outer disciples come into contact with middle level and high level exercises. And low level disciples like Meng Xing only had the opportunity to learn low level Huang level exercises like condensing Qigong. Meng Xing looked at the situation in front of him, and was surrounded by three men aggressively, and he also recognized that these three people were coming. His scalp could not help numb, and his heart was bitter. These three people are all the guardians of the outer disciples. They usually have the power to teach and reprimand the outer disciples, and their cultivation has also reached the 8th grade condensed phase, which is much higher than Zhang Sunta's strength. He also didn't expect that Xiao Yuluo would be a Dharma protector, and there was no information about her in his predecessor's memory. Obviously, he was a Dharma protector who had just been appointed. Offending a Dharma protector in his capacity is impossible in Jinryuzong, and it is possible to be beaten to death. And these three guardians are obviously Xiao Yuluo's licking dogs, wanting to gain goodwill in front of the other party, so just now he was listening to the other party's piano playing in the courtyard. How is it now? What? Don't dare to speak now? You dare to be rude to Hufa Xiao, and you must be severely punished. Wait. A crisp and pleasant voice came from the courtyard wall, and then, a figure walked out gracefully from the gate. I saw this woman was wearing a light yellow light shirt, a long white dress, and a dark yellow ribbon around her waist. Her eyebrows were not drawn like daisies, her face was as white and greasy as fat, and her figure was graceful. But there is a gentle and elegant temperament of a lady. I do have some problems with my piano skills. This junior brother can hear it, and obviously he is well versed in piano skills. Why don't you come in and give me some pointers? Xiao Yuluo said with a strange look in his eyes. Look at Meng Xing. Meng Xing was wearing coarse clothes, not the clothes of the outer disciples of Jianke Peak. He was obviously a relatively low-level disciple. Such a disciple, to be able to hear that her piano skills are not good, and to dare to shout out loud, is not small. However, Xiao Yuluo was also used to listening to flattery and compliments that were inappropriate, and no one dared to point out that she was not good at playing the piano. Now that she saw an outer disciple dare to shout like that, it made her curious. See what Meng Xing can say. If Meng Xing can't say anything, but just talks nonsense, she doesn't mind giving him a little punishment. 1. Promise Xiao Yuluo. 2. Fleeing the scene, the result will be beaten half to death. 3. Take the initiative to attack and fight with 3 young people, and the result will also be beaten to death. Meng Xing looked at the 3 options in front of him and was a little speechless. Now it is difficult to ride a tiger. No matter what, it is a dead end. Meng Xing had no choice but to choose the first one. No matter what, he agreed first, and then acted accordingly. Okay. Hufa Xiao, the language was a little offending just now, but it's what I said in my heart. Meng Xing said neither humbly nor arrogantly. The task has been completed, get a random reward, piano skill +1. Meng Xing suddenly felt that a mysterious message poured into his mind, and he had a very familiar understanding of piano skills. For him, a piano blind, this is no less than enlightenment. This is also the first time that Meng Xing has acquired piano skills. What he has acquired before is strength and physique. Meng Xing was pleasantly surprised, and he really fell asleep on the pillow. During the crisis, the system also helped him and passed on his piano skills. It seems that the system didn't want him to die. Chapter 4. Buzzing under the unkind eyes of the 3 young Dharma protectors, Meng Xing followed Xiao Yuluo into the courtyard and sat down in a pavilion. In the yard is a small garden, planted with various flowers and trees, bursting with the fragrance of flowers. It can be seen that this Xiao Yuluo is also an elegant person, who likes this kind of elegant and clean place with beautiful environment. Moreover, she must have received a good education and training. Such a person has a very high vision and a profound cultivation base. She is also very beautiful and attractive. She is simply the perfect woman in the eyes of men, and it is easy to attract men's desire to conquer. No wonder the three young people stayed here and listened to Xiao Yuluo playing the piano. Once they were favored by each other, they would definitely become the envy of others. Xiao Yuluo glanced at Meng Xing, and the other party didn't even have stage fright. He seemed to be confident, but it aroused her more curiosity. There is a goken on the table in the middle of the pavilion. The goken is somewhat mottled, revealing an ancient atmosphere, and it is obviously not an ordinary quality. Xiao Yuluo said, "What's your name? Who is the master?" "My name is Meng Xing. I'm a firewood chopping disciple in the dining hall. I don't have a master," Meng Xing said. The three young men immediately frowned and looked at Meng Xing contemptuously. "You, a chopping disciple of the dining hall, dare to be rude to Hufa. Xiao, you really deserve to die," said Hufa Huang, whose voice was the harshest just now. Meng Xing knew that these three people were also protectors, but he didn't know the specific names. Outer disciples called these three people Huang Hufa, Ya Hufa, and Zhang Hufa. Xiao Yuluo said, Hufa, don't reprimand this disciple for now. I still have to ask him about piano skills, so don't scare him." There was a little dissatisfaction in his tone. He was talking to Meng Xing, but this guy interrupted him because he was the protector. Of course, she could see that the three of them disdain Meng Xing, a wood-chopping disciple. To be honest, she was a little disappointed with Meng Xing, a wood-chopping disciple. She had known that he was from the dining hall. He came in. How could the firewood-chopping disciple in the dining hall understand Gongshangjiao Huyo? I'm afraid it's also a rhetorical person who wants to attract her attention. She has seen many such people. Moreover, looking at Meng Xing's age, he was only 18 or 19 years old, much younger than them. A smile appeared on Huang Hufa's face, and he said flatteringly, "Junior sister Xiao, your piano skills are the #1 in Arjianka Peak. No one can compare to you. How can you ask a low-level disciple for advice? I think this Meng Xing just wants to get your attention, wants to take refuge in you, and let you find some way out for him." If the outer disciples do not have the opportunity to worship the elders of Jianka Peak as their masters, the best way out is to rely on a certain Dharma protector and practice under the guidance of a certain Dharma protector until they have the opportunity to worship a certain elder as their teacher. Otherwise, you can only rely on your own cultivation, and then gain the favor of an elder and accept him as an outer disciple. Once you become an outer disciple of an elder, you can cultivate under the elder's guidance and become an inner disciple very easily. As long as the cultivation base reaches the 7th rank of Open Pulse Realm, one can automatically be promoted to inner disciple. In fact, Xiao Yuluo had already thought about what Huang Hufa said, but she still said lightly, "Meng Xing, tell me, what is wrong with my piano skills? If I can point it out, I can instruct you to practice the exercises in the future. Even if you are motivated, I can recommend you to worship under a certain elder." As soon as Xiao Yuluo said those words, the surrounding air suddenly stagnates. The three guardians did not expect that Xiao Yuluo would care so much about his piano skills and offer such generous conditions. If you can get Xiao Yuluo's guidance, wouldn't you be able to see Xiao Yuluo often? Meet beautiful women every day, get the moon first when you are near the water tower. At this moment, they were all jealous, wishing they were Meng Xing, able to answer Xiao Yuluo's questions, and then meet her every day. However, it was obviously impossible for the chopping wood disciple in front of him to answer. Meng Xing's expression did not change, but he smiled bitterly in his heart. How could he know that there was something wrong with the other party's piano skills, and he didn't listen to the entire other party's piano music at all, and the words he just shouted were just according to the system's prompts. The system is really tricking me. How should we answer now? Meng Xing thought anxiously. Xiao Yuluo quietly watched Meng Xing thinking, looking forward to his answer without urging him. Meng Xing thought for a while, sat at the table, pulled the goken in front of him, and said, "Xiao Hufa, how about I play the qin for you? Could you try to compare?" "Okay, please play the piano." Xiao Yuluo nodded with a happy expression on his face. She knew what Meng Xing meant. Playing the piano depends more on her own feelings. If she wants to know the problems in her piano skills, she also needs to feel, but sometimes it is difficult to tell the subtle differences. The three male guardians snorted, but they wanted to see how this guy Meng Xing made a fool of himself. Did he really think playing the qin was so easy? In Meng Xing's mind, a song that he liked very much that he had heard in a previous life appeared in his mind. The notes were beating in his mind. He didn't know how to play it before, but just now he was empowered by the system and taught the piano skills. The song also has a deeper understanding. After thinking deeply about this piece, Yu reading www.uukangsha.com put both hands on the goken and started playing it loudly. With the sound of the piano together, the three male guardians immediately widened their eyes, showing disbelief. A firewood chopping disciple in the dining hall actually knows the elegant art of playing the goken? Xiao Yuluo's eyes also showed a look of surprise. The tune Meng Xing played was actually different from what she had heard. The sound of the qin was clanging, and it seemed to be whispering something, and it seemed that there was a painting unfolding in front of her eyes, and there were two men and women in love on the painting, talking about the beauty of love. The sound of the piano is touching and exciting. Meng Xing seemed a little rusty when he first started to play, and then gradually became better. Xiao Yuluo was suddenly attracted and immersed in the sound of the piano. Xiao Yuluo felt the hurt and death in the sound of the piano. It seemed that a man and woman who were in love were separated, and then sacrificed their love for each other in grief. Tears could not help shedding in her eyes. Even if Xiao Yuluo didn't know much about the relationship between men and women, he knew that this song was telling a poignant love story. Hufa Huang, Hufa Yet, and Hufa Zhang were also moved. Although they didn't know how to play the piano, they still knew how to appreciate it. Otherwise, they wouldn't be here listening to Xiao Yuluo playing the piano. While listening, the three sighed. In their hearts, it would be great if they could fall in love with Xiao Yuluo like this, even if they died. The song is over, and the lingering sound lingers. The four people present felt the poignant, tragic, and moving of this song. At the same time, outside the courtyard, there were also some disciples who stopped and listened, sighing in their hearts that Hufa Xiao's piano skills were even more profound and touching. Xiao Yuluo looked at Meng Xing with a pair of beautiful eyes, with a splendid splendor, but Meng Xing was startled by those scorching eyes. Chapter 5, Unkind Request. Xiao Yuluo said eagerly, "Did you create this piece? It is poignant, mournful, and moving. It is the most touching piano sound I have ever heard. Even the great Qin masters in the Qin dynasty might not be able to create such a beautiful piece of music." Tune. Meng Xing naturally wouldn't say that he was just a porter of the Liangzhu, and said vaguely, "I heard a fairy like old grandpa play this song. I asked him to teach me, and he taught me a lesson. 10 days later, it disappeared. I didn't understand it before, but now that I think about it, it must be a peerless expert in the game industry." With a look of longing, Xiao Yuluo said, "It's also a rare fate that you can meet such an expert. It's a pity that I, Xiao Yuluo, don't have such an expert to grant me the skill of the piano. You really believe it? It won't be too deceitful, right? It's easy to trust people like this, and you won't even know if you've been kidnapped in the future." Meng Xing complained in his heart. "I always felt that there was something wrong with my piano skills, but I never thought of what the problem was. I listened to your song today, and I finally knew where the problem was. The songs I played lacked deep emotions and had empty melody. Without the basis of emotion, it is like a walking corpse lacking a soul. No matter how good looking it looks, it still lacks a lot of charm." Xiao Yuluo said again, "Your brain supplement skills are very strong. I don't need to fool you." Meng Xing thought to himself. "Xiao Hufa, I said that your piano skills are not good, but I am offended. With time, you will definitely play better." Meng Xing said, "Yeah, thank you. Your words today reminded me and let me know where my gap is. If I study in the future, I will definitely make greater progress." Xiao Yuluo said excitedly, "If that's the case, then I'll take my leave." Meng Xing breathed a sigh of relief, and finally fooled it. It's not easy to get rewards from the system. You have to hurry back to learn the Xian level low-grade exercises you just acquired, and increase your strength. Without strength, everything is in vain. Next time, it is better to do less of this kind of thing, and to be more stable. In fact, without the use of exercises, the strength and physique obtained are also enhancing their own strength, but it is only a little slower. If you walk too fast, you may get screwed." He groaned in his heart. He glanced at the three male guardians, and the three licking dogs finally stopped shouting and killing. "Wait a minute," Xiao Yuluo said hurriedly. Meng Xing looked at it and said, "Hufa, Xiao, What else is there? I said just now that as long as you point out where there is a problem with my piano skills, I can instruct you to practice the exercises, and the words you have said must not be sloppy. Well, from now on, you will come to me every 10 days and a half months. Here, I instruct you to cultivate until you break through to the 7th rank of Open Pulse Realm. Xiao Yuluo said. The 3 male guardians suddenly showed envious expressions. Seeing Xiao Yuluo once every 10 days and a half months, it was a huge blessing, and communicating with her at close range was also an opportunity to capture the other party's heart. It's a pity that such an opportunity was given to a disciple who chopped wood in the dining hall. Such a vulgar person must not know Xiao Yuluo's great charm, and it was a great opportunity wasted. Hufa Huang said, Sister Xiao, your piano skills are actually very delicate and moving. Meng Xing just pointed out some problems in your piano skills. It's not worth your time to point him, and it's a waste of yourself. The training time. You only need to give him a few pointers. Why do you need to go to the 7th level of the Open Pulse Realm? Yes, Junior Sister Xiao, your piano skills are already incomparable, and Jian Qifeng is unmatched. Meng Xing said that your piano skills are not good, but in fact, it completely denied your ability. Your piano skills are only needed. It's just some training. How can you say it's not good? He said this, in fact, to attract your attention. The purpose is not pure, and his heart can be punished. You have pointed him a few times. It is already a great favor to him. Ye Hufa also said. Hufa Zhang also hurriedly said, Junior Sister Xiao, why don't you do this? I'll give you some pointers on how to do it. Don't bother you. I will definitely help you. You don't have to waste your cultivation time. You can have more time. Come and practice the piano. Hufa Huang and Hufa Ye were suddenly a little annoyed that they actually let this guy take the lead. Knowing this, he also suggested that Meng Xing should be instructed to cultivate. This is the time to gain Xiao Yuluo's favor. Helping her, she will definitely take care of herself. You can't lick a dog for horse. Meng Xing complained in his heart. Xiao Yuluo said that he gave me some pointers to practice, but the 3 of you licking a dog are actually obstructing me. In fact, Meng Xing didn't want Xiao Yuluo to instruct him to practice. He already had the exercises that he had systematically obtained, so he didn't need anyone to teach him. Now I don't have any hidden skills, so it's not good if I reveal my secrets in front of her. It would be great if I could extract a set of exercises to hide the breath from the system. Xiao Yuluo frowned and said, how can I not count what I said? You don't need to say more. I have made up my mind. You 3 go back first. I still have some piano skills, and I want to talk to Meng Star ask for advice. She was tired of listening to the flattery of these 3 people, and she also knew the purpose of these 3 people. In fact, she had already wanted to drive these 3 people away, but they were too thick-skinned and hinted a few times, but they were all indifferent. You have to listen to her play a song. Naturally, she had no intention of playing, and played a piece of music to deal with it, but she didn't expect that Meng Xing would actually hear it, and said her words were amazing, saying that her piano skills were not good. Although she didn't play seriously, she also knew her own problems. Listening to Meng Xing playing a piece also inspired her and gained more insights. The 3 male guardians felt a little remorse right away. They had known this before, and they had also learned piano skills, but they could communicate with Xiao Yuluo. A disciple who chopped wood could learn piano skills, and she even paid so much attention to it. Xiao Yuluo had already issued an order to evict the guests, so naturally they would not be shameless to stay here any longer. If they left a bad impression on the other party, they would not have the chance to gain the favor of this stunning beauty in the future. The 3 male guardians stood up, said something politely, glared at Meng Xing again, and left. Going outside the yard, Hufa Huang said, unwillingly, Junior Sister Xiao is so devoted to a disciple who chops wood. Yu reading www.uukangsha.com kicked us all out. Did she like that kid? A chopping disciple, whose status is so different from hers, how can she like it? She just likes to play the piano, and she wants to see if she can learn some piano skills from that guy. With that guy's 3-legged cat's level, she is afraid I will be disappointed soon, and I will definitely drive him out in a while. Hufa Zhang said. Yeah, you're right. How can a chopping wood disciple get into her eyes? And have you noticed that this chopping wood disciple doesn't seem to have even started the martial arts? and he has not successfully opened his pulse. The disciple who stayed in the dining hall, this generation is just like this. The only exercises obtained are the low-level Huang level, and it is already a great luck to be able to open the veins successfully. Yehufa also said. Speaking of which, junior sister Xiao likes people like us, and she won't like a little anymore, Hufa Huang said. That must be it. Hufa Zhang and Hufa Ye said in unison. Let's go. Let's go drink? We don't need to care if you're a small asshole. Hufa Zhang said again. Let's not wait here to see if that little squatter will be kicked out. Huang Hufa said hesitantly. What's so good about this? Hufa Huang, don't you even have this confidence? Are you afraid that a firewood chopping disciple will compare us? A chopping wood disciple is not worth our hands on. If we just reveal a little bit, I'm afraid other disciples will find trouble with him. You can do whatever you want. If we do it, it will be bad for junior sister Xiao to find out. She is sure will blame us. Between the words, the three people have already left here. In the quiet and elegant courtyard, as soon as the three people left, Xiao Yuluo said, Meng Xing, I have an unkind request. I wonder if you will agree. Chapter 6. The younger brother is covered by the elder sister. 3 options immediately appeared in front of Meng Xing's eyes. 1. Promise Xiao Yuluo. 2. Reject directly and leave this place immediately. 3. Say to Xiao Yuluo, I like you. Meng Xing directly chose the first option. The other 2 options would definitely cause trouble, so it's better not to cause trouble. This system also likes to do shocking things on its own. It takes a strong heart to endure it. Meng Xing said, Okay, I promise you. You probably want me to teach you how to play the tune just now. The task has been completed. Get a random reward. Strength +1. Xiao Yuluo showed a smile, like a delicate flower blooming in the yard, and said, I didn't expect you to be so smart, and you guessed my idea. Meng Xing said, What's so difficult about it? You like to play, and naturally you like this piece, just like me. Yeah, you're right. Why don't you teach me? I'll teach you the exercises later. Xiao Yuluo said. The inadvertently revealing delicate and charming look made Meng Xing's heart sway, thinking, Your lethality is really not to be underestimated. Your favor. See no evil, hear no evil. Meng Xing retracted his mind and said, Okay. Therefore, Meng Xing played the piano again and again, said the score again and again, and talked about the key skills. Xiao Yuluo listened quietly, and then played it once. After 2 or 3 times, he basically remembered the note, and it sounded quite nice. Meng Xing was a little surprised. Her memory is really good. It turns out that she is also a talented girl. After half an hour, Xiao Yuluo said, What kind of exercises are you practicing? Have you opened up a spiritual vein? Meng Xing smiled bitterly and said, Don't you know? All the disciples in the dining hall practice the condensing qigong of the low-rank Huang level. It takes 10 years to open the pulse. Xiao Yuluo frowned and said, To let you learn condensing qigong, the regulations of Jianke Peak are completely burying your talents. I have to mention it to the elders of Jianke Peak. At least let you be able to cultivate the high-rank Huang level. This is the way to go. Let me first teach you to practice a set of Huang level high-grade pulse opening exercises. Thank you, Hufa Xiao. Immediately, Xiao Yuluo taught Meng Xing a set of high-grade Huang level pulse opening exercises, and carefully pointed out the secrets of cultivation. Meng Xing also listened attentively, sighing in her heart, she is really a good girl with a kind heart. Xiao Yuluo also warned, You cultivate seriously, and come to me if you have any questions. Also, you can come here every 10 days or half a month, and I will carefully point you to the key. Okay, Meng Xing said. Yeah, you can call me Senior Sister Xiao in the future. You don't need to call me Hufa Xiao anymore. It seems a little unfamiliar. Yes, Senior Sister Xiao. If someone else bullies you in the future, you can also come to me, and I will try my best to decide for you. Xiao Yuluo said again. Meng Xing suddenly had a feeling of little junior brother being covered by senior sister, as if he had returned to his childhood, very weak, and needed the protection of a big sister. That feeling made him feel a little warm. He came to this world and was helpless. Now, listening to Xiao Yuluo's advice, he felt that he had some support. An hour later, the sky was getting dark. Meng Xing stood up and left the place. Returning to the small room where he lived, Meng Xing checked the rewards in the system. the Xian level low-grade exercise Jingshui Boi Wanggong. Meng Xing now knows that this kind of inheritance is to be received by himself, and the system will not give it directly, which is different from the rewards of those random basic attributes. Do you want to receive the reward you have obtained? Receive. Immediately, a mysterious message poured into his brain, and at the same time, a breath also entered his body, started running in his body, swam for a week, and then returned to his danshan, where he split. There was a water spirit vein, the same size as the thunder spirit vein. As long as you run the magic formula of Jingshui Wave Yuan Gong, you can mobilize the water attribute vitality in the water spirit meridian, condense it into your hands, form a powerful force, and attack the enemy. The Lei Lingmei is fierce and domineering, and it seems to have the potential to open up the world. However, the two cannot be used at the same time. When using the Lei Yuan Tian Gang art, you cannot use the still water wave Yuan Gong, and vice versa. After practicing the Jingshui Boi Wan Gong for another hour, the foundation was stabilized, and then he practiced the Liwen Tian Gang art for another hour before Meng Xing began to rest. After practicing the exercises for so long, although the strength has increased, the spirit is very tired and needs to rest to recover. Silent all night. The next day, Meng Xing continued to chop wood. Should you learn the pulse opening technique taught by senior sister Xiao of the high rank Huang level? Forget it, don't learn it, only those who are above Xian level will be rewarded by the system. He was chopping wood while thinking. Since the opening of the pulse was successful, and his strength and physique have also improved, Meng Xing has gained strength, and chopping wood finally doesn't feel like a tiring job, but feels relaxed and comfortable, as if he is venting the strength in his body and tempering his own muscles. Yu. Reading www.yuyukangshu.com. This made Meng Xing feel very comfortable. After exercising for a while, his whole body felt comfortable and he could use his strength more freely. Although with his current cultivation level, the vitality of a thunder spirit vein or water spirit vessel can be spewed into two pieces, but the control of power is not so free. Moreover, Meng Xing didn't plan to show his strength in front of others, so he didn't use the exercises at all. Meng Xing, why are you chopping wood so fast? What supplements have you eaten recently? This is a burst of energy, said an outer sect disciple who went out to chop wood every day, putting down the 2 bundles of wood he was carrying on his back. The division of labor of the people working in the dining hall is also very clear. The chefs only do the work of the cooks, and the cooks only do the work of the cooks. Meng Xing chops wood here every day, and a few people go to the hills outside to chop wood and bring them back. Meng Xing glanced at it and said with a smile, I recently learned about chopping wood, and I know how to split a piece of wood in half with the least amount of force. Moreover, although I haven't succeeded in opening the pulse, I train my body like this every day and my strength. It's also enhanced a lot, so it's normal to be faster. Yo, tell me, what do you think? Said the outer disciple Yang Xiaochui. This piece of wood has veins. As long as an axe is cut along these veins, it can be easily split, and it will naturally save a lot of strength. Meng Xing said, and then went down with an axe, and with a click, split the wood into 2 halves. Yang Xiaochui was stunned for a while, and said, what you said seems to make sense. However, why can't I understand it? It's normal if you don't understand. Although chopping firewood is a trivial matter, you need to understand the truth. You won't be able to comprehend anything without 3 years or 2 years. Chapter 7, Really? Dawn and hashtag 039, T need it then go ahead and chop these 2 bundles of firewood. I'll go to rest first. Yang Xiaochui shook his head and smiled. Your strength is also much stronger. Could it be that you succeeded in opening the pulse? Meng Xing asked. The most frequently asked question by the outside disciples of the dining hall is, did you succeed in opening your pulse today? Yes, I feel that it is fast. As long as I practice for a few more days, I should be able to successfully open my pulse. Yang Xiaochui laughed. Congratulations? Congratulations? Little Hammer, if you can successfully open your pulse, you can become a genius among the outer disciples. Meng Xing said. Everyone learns the condensing qigong of the low-grade Huang level. Under normal circumstances, it takes about 10 years to open the pulse successfully, but if you can do it within 2 or 3 years, you are considered a genius among the outer disciples, and you are naturally suitable for cultivation. One way. Cultivation of low-level Huang-level condensing Qigong can successfully open the pulse so quickly. If it is replaced by other high-level yellow-level or Xian-level exercises, it will be even more soaring to the sky. Therefore, as long as Yang Xiaochui can successfully open his pulse and show it in front of the elders of Jianke Peak, he will be favored and teach more advanced exercises. This is also the only way for the people in the dining hall to go out. Otherwise, they can only stay in the dining hall for the rest of their lives, or they will go down the mountain and return to their fields in despair. A genius disciple from the outer sect like Luo Yao has actually been appreciated by the elders of the sect and accepted as a disciple in advance. As long as he breaks through to the 7th rank of the open pulse state, he will automatically become an inner sect disciple, and there is no need to find a master. Yang Xiaochui nodded and said, "Thank you, Meng Xing. As long as I become the elder's disciple, I will ask the elder to teach you advanced exercises as well, so that you can successfully open your pulse as soon as possible." Meng Xing shook his head and said with a smile, "You don't have to worry about me, and you don't have to offend the elder for me, otherwise it will have a great impact on you in the future. If I fail to open the pulse, I will leave here in the future. I have already looked it up." Meng Xing himself had successfully opened his pulse, so he naturally wanted to keep a low profile. As for Yang Xiaokui's kindness, he was very grateful. In the dining hall, in Meng Xing's memory, the relationship between the predecessor and Yang Xiaochui was still good. They often drank and chatted together and talked about everything. However, since the soul crossing, he hadn't drank and chatted with each other, and he hadn't fully adapted to it. Yang Xiaochui patted Meng Xing's shoulder and said, "I'm going back to rest." After Meng Xing finished chopping firewood, he went outside to hang out again to trigger the system, but he also planned to keep a low profile and stop doing those shocking actions. Complete the task, get a random reward, strength +1. Complete the task, get a random reward, spirit +1. After wandering outside for a long time, Meng Xing found that he had triggered a new spirit attribute, and his spiritual power was also improved. Complete the task, get a random reward, constitution +1. After picking up a wave of wool, Meng Xing returned to his residence and continued to practice Lei Yuan Tian Gang Ju and Jing Shui Bo Yuan Gong. With the improvement of strength and physique, it is easier to cultivate these two sets of magic formulas, and the absorption of the two attributes of thunder and water is more than yesterday. Soon, the thunder spirit vessel and the shui spirit vein reached 2 feet, becoming the second-order martial artist of the open vessel realm. The days that followed were calm and unwavering. Meng Xing was also focused on his cultivation and the wool of the system. As his strength, physique, and spirit increased, it became easier and easier for him to cultivate these two sets of exercises, and the more vitality he absorbed. But if the strength, physique, and spirit do not increase, the practice of these two sets of exercises will slow down, and only slightly stronger than ordinary people. The two are complementary. Soon, Meng Xing broke through the Lei Lingmei to the 7th rank of the open vessel realm, meeting the conditions for promotion to the inner sect disciple. After another day, the water spirit vein also reached the 7th level of the open vein state. However, there are very few disciples like Meng Xing who practice dual attributes and have reached the 7th level of the open pulse realm. Jinryu sect generally advocates that disciples only cultivate one attribute, and they can also cultivate 2 or 3 attributes. But promotion is difficult. But it is multiplied, and some of the gains outweigh the losses. Therefore, except for some genius disciples, most of them cultivated the cultivation method of one attribute to the extreme. Half a month passed quickly, and Meng Xing had never been to Xiao Yuluo's place. On this day, Meng Xing was chopping firewood when he heard a dining hall worker say, "Meng Xing, someone is looking for you." Meng Xing was a little curious and asked, "Who is looking for me?" "It is said that it was sent by Hufis Xiao," said the man. Meng Xing had to walk out of the backyard, and when he came to the front yard, he saw Zhang Sentu was talking to a woman. Meng Xing felt that the woman looked familiar, but didn't remember it for a while. "Miss Su, what is Miss Luo Yao doing recently? Why haven't you come to my dining hall?" Zhang Sandu had a smile on his face. When Meng Xing heard Luo Yao's name, she suddenly remembered that this woman was the one who came to the dining hall with Luo Yao last time. No wonder she looked so familiar. "Senior sister. Luo Yao is in retreat these days, so she didn't come to the dining hall," The woman said. That's it. Come, come, let's drink tea. This is the best hair tip, mellow and sweet. Zhang Sandu said attentively, looking at the beautiful woman in front of him. A green light appeared in his eyes. You are too angry. You should drink herbal tea to get rid of your anger. Meng Xing complained in his heart. The woman saw Meng Xing, but stood up and said, Thank you for your kindness. Hufa Xiao explained some things to me, and I have to help her. Well, then you are busy. Zhang Santu said to Meng Xing, who came over with a smile, Hufa Xiao is looking for you. You should follow this junior sister Zhou quickly. That smile was too reluctant. To be honest, Zhang Santu was also a little jealous of Meng Xing's bad luck, and he was summoned by Xiao Yuluo. Xiao Yuluo was a more beautiful woman than Luo Yao, and among his disciples, her appearance and strength were considered second only. As for the Tianjiao disciple Lu Ruking, every time Zhang Santu saw her, he was like a mountain standing upright, and he felt a little ashamed. This is like the difference between a fat scumbag and a schoolgirl in a modern school. Zhang Santu was also a little curious. Why did Meng Xing, a woodcutter, get Xiao Yuluo's call? This guy's appearance is not comparable to him, and his identity and cultivation are not comparable to him. How can he even get the call of a stunning woman? Zhang Santu wanted to ask Meng Xing what was going on, but because Zhou Ruoqing was here, it was difficult to ask, otherwise he would appear to be a little ignorant. Zhou Ruoqing said, Meng Xing, come with me. Meng Xing nodded, walked behind her, and said, Senior Sister Zhou, what is Hufa Xiao looking for from me? I don't know, you just follow. Zhou Ruoqing said. Okay. Meng Xing actually knew that Xiao Yuluo was probably concerned about his cultivation. Since she said it, she would definitely keep her promise and do what she said. Today is exactly half a month since the last meeting. It's just that I really don't need it. Zhou Ruoqing glanced at Meng Xing, who was following her. In fact, she was also very curious as to why Hufa Xiao would look for this unremarkable disciple of chopping wood. Last time this Meng Xing asked Luo Yao to take him to the library to read. Although Luo Yao didn't speak, she knew that the other party would definitely refuse. In fact, she was also thinking that Meng Xing must be playing this hard-to-get game in order to gain Luo Yao's favor. Although they and Meng Xing were both disciples of the outer sect, their status was one in the sky and the other in the ground, which was very different, so they didn't care about Meng Xing at all. Unexpectedly, a person who even they despised would be favored by Hufa Xiao, and he specially asked himself to invite him. What a face this is! Chapter 8, Sister, Udon and #039. Have to belittle yourself in Xiao Yuluo's courtyard. Zhou Ruoqing led Meng Xing to the front of the pavilion, saw Meng Xing walking into the pavilion as if he was familiar, and sat down, picked up the teacup and poured tea to drink. Zhou Ruoqing really wanted to walk over and kick him. This is Hufa Xiao's place. How can you just mess around with the things on the table? If you want to drink tea, you have to wait for the owner's permission. I really don't know how to be polite. No wonder I can only be a vulgar chopping disciple. After a while, Xiao Yuluo came to the pavilion, holding a goken in his arms, saw Meng Xing, smiled and said, Meng Xing, why don't you come these days? You insist on me to invite you. Are you willing to come? There was a slight complaint in his tone. Zhou Ruoqing was stunned. Hufa Xiao was expecting Meng Xing to come. When did they meet? Moreover, Hufa Xiao's tone seemed to be acting like a spoiled child. Is this still Hufa Xiao with a valiant appearance and a high level of cultivation? Senior Sister Xiao, I'm busy chopping firewood every day. Where can I come here? Like a master, Meng Xing poured a cup of tea for Xiao Yuluo and said, Senior Sister, please drink tea. Xiao Yuluo said, let's not drink tea first. By the way, the tune you taught me, I play every day these days. I have become proficient in it, and it feels like you play it. It is really very moving. The more I am, the more I like it. You show me if there is any problem. Okay, Senior Sister, Meng Xing said. Zhou Ruoqing was even more sluggish. This Meng Xing actually taught Xiao Hufa to play the piano? Isn't he a vulgar chopping wood disciple? How can such an elegant art of playing the piano be possible? How can that be? Zhou Ruoqing felt that his worldview had been turned upside down, as if he was a mud-legged man who suddenly became a champion, or a beggar who suddenly became a rich man with billions of properties. Immediately afterwards, Zhou Ruoqing saw Xiao Yuluo play it impatiently, and the piano sounded loudly. Zhou Ruoqing had heard the other party play this song many times, but he never thought that it was taught by Meng Xing. The sound of the piano is poignant and sad, like a complaint and a weeping. And it is gripping. At the end of the song, the reverberation echoed around the beam for 3 feet, and it was endless. Zhou Ruoqing burst into tears, and was moved to cry. What Hufa Xiao played today seemed to be even more immersive, making people unconsciously immersed in the sound of the piano and unable to extricate themselves. Meng Xing applauded softly and said, "Senior sister, you played it well, even better than me. This piece is more suitable for senior sister to play." To be honest, Meng Xing knew that he was not a qin player. If he hadn't systematically taught him how to play the qin, he would still be a layman. So, what he said was the truth. Xiao Yuluo breathed a sigh of relief and said, "Although I can play well, I still feel a little inferior to you. Why don't you play another song for me? What's the difference?" 3 options immediately appeared in front of Meng Xing's eyes. 1. Promise Xiao Yuluo to play a song. 2. Reject Xiao Yuluo and slam the door and leave. 3rd, said to Xiao Yuluo, "Senior sister, playing the piano is so boring, it is more suitable to talk about love. Shall we talk about love together?" Meng Xing felt the deep malice from the system, and the system didn't want me to feel better, so he chose the first item decisively. "Okay, senior sister. I'll play the piano for you," Meng Xing said. "The task has been completed. Get a random reward, piano skill +1." A piece of information about piano skills poured into his mind again, giving him a deeper understanding of piano skills, as if he had mastered the piano skills for 10 years. Meng Xing moved the goken in front of him, put his hands on the strings, and the notes of the liangzhu appeared in his mind, as if someone was performing it himself in his mind, and his hands began to move. At this moment, his temperament has also changed, as if he is not a vulgar chopping disciple, but an elegant and humble piano master with a high-pitched piano. As soon as the piano sounded, it attracted people's minds, and a picture emerged in people's minds. The 2 young men and women went from acquaintance to love, and then encountered a strong obstruction, and the 2 tried their best to resist, or even sacrifice themselves for love, turn into butterflies, and both dance in the air in various scenes. Zhou Ruoqing was completely attracted, and tears rolled down her white cheeks unconsciously, revealing crystal tears. It wasn't until the end of the song that she suddenly realized that she quickly wiped the tears off her face, surprised. He looked at Meng Xing. This person's piano skills are so superb, it is no wonder that even Hufa Xiao was attracted and became friends with him. It's true that people can't look at their appearance, and the sea water can't be measured. A vulgar chopping disciple is so talented, if he doesn't show it, no one will know that Jian Qifeng has such a powerful piano master. Xiao Yuluo also wiped away the tears on his face. He didn't find it so exciting when he played it. Meng Xing played it as if someone was telling a moving story. A woman who was treated unfairly, and then turned into a butterfly, with the person she likes. Xiao Yuluo said, "Meng Xing, your piano skills, I am afraid that even the piano masters of Fukin Peak are not as good as you, and have reached a very high level. If I want to reach your level, I am afraid that I still need to practice a few times. Years." Yu reading www.yuukangsha.com. However, today I have a lot of insights, I believe I can go further. Zhou Ruoqing was a little surprised that Xiao Yuluo had such a high opinion of Meng Xing. You must know that the master of the Qin Dao in Fukin Peak, in addition to the Peak Master, also has a genius disciple who has a great influence on the entire 12 peaks of Jinryu sect. Power and fame have even spread throughout the state. Senior sister, you don't have to belittle yourself. Your piano skills are already very good. I have benefited a lot from listening to your playing just now, so I can play a little better now than last time, Meng Xing said with a smile. His piano skills have improved a bit more than the last time. Just using Xiao Yuluo as an excuse, he also touted the other party. By the way, everyone loves to carry the flower sedan chair, and they have a good relationship with each other. Maybe they will rely on her in the future. You just know how to talk. Xiao Yuluo had a smile on his face, and with this smile, his beautiful face showed even greater charm, making people unconsciously attracted to him. How are you practicing these days? Have you learned the exercises I taught you? Xiao Yuluo changed the subject and asked a more concerned question. Zhou Ruoqing was even more surprised that Hufa Xiao favored Meng Xing so much, and even taught him the exercises. It seems that Meng Xing is finally going to get rid of his status as a disciple of chopping wood, and he may soar into the sky. At the 7th level of the realm, it is not a problem to enter the inner disciple. Although Zhou Ruoqing really wanted to continue listening, but the issue of cultivation techniques was relatively private, and some were not what she should listen to, so she said to Xiao Yuluo and left the courtyard. But the scene she saw today was enough for her to be shocked for a few days. I am afraid that Luo Yao would not believe it when she heard it. Zhou Ruoqing has a feeling that he can't wait to share with others. Chapter 9, The Mud Can End #039, T support the wall. Meng Xing shook his head and said, Senior sister, I've already practiced, but if I want to successfully open my pulse, I'm still a little short, and I still need to practice for a while. Well, then keep working hard. As long as you reach the 7th rank of the open pulse realm and become an inner disciple, I will introduce you to a good master. Xiao Yuluo said. Thank you, senior sister. Meng Xing said. You practice the exercises I taught you, and I'll see what you don't understand. Xiao Yuluo said again. Meng Xing felt helpless. Senior sister Xiao, you are too caring. I really don't need your teaching. Meng Xing had no choice but to show it, but he also suppressed the thunder and water spirit veins in his body, so as not to reveal the contents, and he couldn't tell. If he now says that he is the 7th order of the open pulse realm, it will definitely attract the attention of many people. Otherwise, it is easy to be regarded as the first bird, and the gun is the first bird, and it will not end well. Xiao Yuluo pointed at Meng Xing for a while, and then explained the exercises carefully. The degree of seriousness was called a model worker, and he looked like a good teacher. Meng Xing had to listen patiently and earnestly. Fortunately, Xiao Yuluo was a stunning beauty, and she was also attractive to look at. Otherwise, he would be a bad old man, and he could not help but run away. Big sister, you don't have to be so serious, right? Your sense of responsibility is too strong, yet you let me suffer here. Meng Xing couldn't help but complain for a while. Finally, Xiao Yuluo finished talking carefully. Meng Xing only felt that his ears were about to become calluses, so he hurriedly left. Really suffer. After walking out of Xiao Yuluo's courtyard, Meng Xing finally breathed a sigh of relief. It seemed that he still had to learn a hidden technique. But in his current status, it is very difficult to obtain hidden exercises. It seems that there is a chance to go to the library of the outer disciples to see, maybe there is such a practice there. Of course, it would be better if a set of hidden exercises can be obtained from the random rewards of the system. Returning to the dining hall, I saw Zhang Sunta walking towards him with a smile on his face, and said, Meng Xing, what did you do at Hufa Xiao's place? 3 options immediately appeared in front of Meng Xing's eyes. 1. Tell Zhang Sunta the truth. 2. Beat the other party violently. 3. Said to him, Senior sister Xiao and I are playing the piano to say love. Meng Xing immediately chose number 1, and the system wanted me to cause trouble. Although the reward was generous, it was necessary to spend my life. Senior sister Xiao asked me to play the piano for her, and she also taught me to practice the exercises. Meng Xing abruptly stopped the word saying love. If the 3rd option in the system was triggered, wouldn't he do it himself? It seems that this system sometimes pits itself. The task has been completed. Get a random reward. Hide +1. Meng Xing's eyes suddenly lit up. It seemed that he didn't need to learn it by himself. The system would be hidden for him, and he even turned on the hidden attribute for himself. With the improvement of cultivation, the ability to hide breath will also improve, so it is normal to use it as a basic attribute. For example, the cultivation base has reached the 8th rank condensing phase realm, and the hidden skills can only hide the skill of the 9th rank open pulse realm, which cannot be concealed at all. Meng Xing only felt a mysterious aura pouring into his danshan. Immediately, the 2 thunder and water spiritual meridians in his danshan seemed to be compressed by this aura, and his cultivation level changed from the 7th rank of the open pulse realm to the 6th rank. 5th, 4th, until the 1st order, it stopped. As soon as Meng Xing's thoughts moved, the 2 7th order spiritual veins in his danshan were displayed, and he could stay at a certain stage according to his own mind. Yes, this hidden attribute is really strong, and it is not the same as strength and physique. It needs to be increased bit by bit, and the skills given directly can hide the strength of the 7th order pulse opening realm. Meng Xing was very satisfied. As long as this hidden skill was activated, it would be easier to trigger it in the future, just like a piano skill. Playing the piano? Cultivating the exercises. Zhang Sandu was surprised and said, "It seems that Hufa Xiao is very fond of you. He even taught you to play the piano and teach you to practice the exercises. Your boy's luck has improved, and he will have a chance to get rid of this problem in the future." The fate of the chopping wood disciple. She not only taught me to play the piano, but she also fell in love with me. Your brain supplementation skills are very strong. Meng Xing complained inwardly. It seems that no one believes that he can play the piano, and even taught Xiao Yuluo. No one will believe it. The status of the lower-level disciple is too low. So Meng Xing is too lazy to argue. It's better. If you don't know, I still want to keep a low profile. Meng Xing echoed and said, "Yes. Yes. I didn't expect that the gods would fall out of the pie, and a senior sister Xiao actually fell, teaching me to play the piano and practice, and it almost knocked me out. Besides, senior sister Xiao is really beautiful. I have never seen a woman more beautiful than her." Meng Xing also teased Zhang Santu. On purpose. He said a word to Luo Yao, and this guy was so jealous that he scolded him. Now he knows senior sister Xiao, who is more beautiful than Luo Yao, and he also practiced playing the piano with her. Intimate contact, see if you are sour? There was a sour smile on Zhang Santu's fat face, and he couldn't restrain his sourness. This Meng Xing was really lucky. At first, he thought he was going to have a relationship with Luo Yao, but he didn't expect to have a relationship with Xiao Yuluo. The status of the other party has become more advanced. What made Zhang Santu even more uncomfortable was that back then, he wanted to get acquainted with the goddess Xiao Yuluo in his heart, but the other party didn't even look at him. Unexpectedly, she favored a low-level chopping wood disciple instead. Now that Xiao Yuluo is relying on him, if Zhang Santu wants to move Meng Xing, he has to weigh it. He is only the general manager of the outer sect disciples' dining hall. Apart from the fact that the dining hall has some real power, he is similar to other ordinary inner sect disciples outside, and his status is only slightly higher than that of outer sect disciples. Compared with the much-used Xiao Hufa, his status was much worse. Moreover, being the guardian of the outer disciples is only temporary. It just gives the inner disciples a chance to hone in. After a period of time, they can still return to the inner disciples to continue their cultivation and receive key training. As the general manager of the dining hall, he can only rely on himself for the rest of his life. As long as he can improve his strength, he will be reused or focused on training. Is it so easy? Therefore, Zhang Santu did not dare to offend a genius like Xiao Yuluo. He offended Xiao Yuluo because he moved Meng Xing, and the consequences were unpredictable. Meng Xing, congratulations. You have won Hufa Xiao's favor. As long as you succeed in your practice, you won't need to stay here. Zhang Santu said, complimentably, although he was reluctant. I still like to stay in the backyard of the dining hall. I chop wood here every day, and I also have feelings for it. Moreover, this wood chopping is also a test for me. Playing the piano with senior sister Xiao is simply a kind of suffering, very uncomfortable. Meng Xing sighed. Taking a breath, he said. Meng Xing felt that if he wanted to develop in a low-key manner, it would be better to stay in this dining hall and chop firewood. Now he will lay out the people in front of Zhang Santu first, and he will have an excuse to stay here in the future. Just like before, no one would take a second look at the chopping wood disciples in the dining hall. Staying with a stunning woman like Xiao Yuluo, attracting too much attention, is still too dangerous. With my thin arm, I can't twist my thigh. The mud can't support the wall. Zhang Santu suddenly said this sentence. Chapter 10, The charm is really great. Being nurtured by Xiao Yuluo, teaching the piano, and teaching cultivation, what a great opportunity! And Meng Xing actually said that he only likes to stay in the dining hall to chop wood, and he still has feelings for it? You don't even want to play the violin or practice, and treat it as a punishment, and don't even fight for the opportunity to change your status. Zhang Sandu immediately felt relieved. You can't grasp this great opportunity, and there is no threat to me in the future. As long as Hufa Xiao doesn't care about you after a while, I can beat you to death. I dare to contact the fairy in my heart. If I don't lame you, I will not be Zhang Santu. I can't get anything that I can't get, and I can't let people with a lower status than me get it. With a smile on his face, Zhang Sunto concealed the jealousy in his heart, and said, if you want to continue to stay here, I am also very welcome. By the way, next time I will see if there is a chance to introduce me to Hufa Xiao. I also want to go to her, listen to her play the piano, and drink tea. As long as the referral is successful, your benefits are indispensable. Playing the piano, drinking tea? I'm afraid that your favorite is to talk about love and walk around the kidneys. Meng Xing complained in his heart. Meng Xing shook his head and said, Hufa Xiao is very strong towards me. You know, I can't speak in front of her at all. I can only be at her mercy. Otherwise, I wouldn't say I'm in her presence. If you practice and play the qin there, you will suffer, but it is still comfortable to chop wood here. Zhang Sunta nodded, and also knew that with Meng Xing's status, I'm afraid he would have nothing to say in front of Xiao Yuluo. He patted Meng Xing on the shoulder and said, as long as you do it, I will give you a huge benefit. If you can't do it, it's okay, you can mention me more in front of her and impress her. I am a kind chief, will not treat you badly. I've seen a lot of general managers, and they're also general managers. All of them say that they are very kind, and they are also kind-hearted. In the end, they kill people with no mercy. Meng Xing complained inwardly. This kind of thing has been seen a lot on movies and TV in previous lives. This eunuch, the general manager, I am afraid he also has such potential, one thing in his mouth and another behind his back. Back then, the predecessor had violated his words and was beaten to death. Won't hurt yourself? If you believe it, you are a ghost. Thank you, Chief. I will do my best to help. Meng Xing added a few more perfunctory words. Then said, Sir, I'm going to chop wood first. After speaking, he left here and went to the backyard to continue chopping firewood. After chopping firewood for a long time, seeing Yang Xiaochui approaching, he smiled, and said, How? After leaving here, which elder or protector are you cultivating with? Yang Xiaochui had successfully opened the pulse and became a first-order warrior of the open pulse realm, so he left the dining hall and no longer did the work of chopping wood. Yang Xiaochui shook his head, sighed, and said, I originally wanted to find an elder to apprentice, but who knew that I visited a few elders, but they didn't see me, so I didn't have a chance to show it. For the time being, I just found a Dharma protector. I showed him my exercises, and he agreed to guide me in my exercises. The imagination is very beautiful, but the reality is very skinny. No one recommends it. No matter how talented you are, I am afraid that no elder will pay attention to you. This is also the reason why Yang Xiaochui had to retreat. Meng Xing comforted, it's not bad to follow those Dharma guardian brothers. Step by step, those brothers have enough strength to teach us. The elders may think that your cultivation is still too low, and they all like to train inner disciples. It is also quick to cultivate. The inner disciples are already at the 7th rank of the open pulse realm, so naturally they can be cultivated quickly, while the outer disciples need to spend a lot of energy to cultivate to the 7th rank. Although the outer disciples are also taught by elders, they are not dedicated to tutoring. Instead, they attend large classes and focus on lecturing. How much you can learn depends entirely on yourself, and those elders only play the role of supervision. More outer sect disciples are actually looking for those inner sect disciples who have been specially selected as Dharma protectors to guide their cultivation. Although their strength is not as good as that of elders, they can still guide outer sect disciples based on what they have learned. If you are over 25 years old, if you have not reached the 7th level of the open pulse realm, it means that you have no potential for improvement, and your aptitude is ordinary. You will have to leave the sect and make a living on your own. Unless it is a firewood chopping disciple like Meng Xing, if he does not reach the 7th rank of Kaimei realm, he will be able to stay in the sect for another 10 years, and at the age of 35, he will have to go down the mountain to make a living on his own. It is impossible for the sect to raise these disciples for a lifetime, and everything still depends on themselves. But now Meng Xing is only 18 years old, and it will be more than 10 years before he is 35. Yang Xiaochui nodded and said, in a few years, I will definitely be able to reach the 7th rank of the open pulse realm. As long as I enter the inner door, I am not afraid that there will be no resources to cultivate. Meng Xing patted him on the shoulder as a sign of encouragement. Meng Xing, I have a set of Huang-level high-grade exercises given to me by the Dharma Protector. You can practice faster. After speaking, Yang Xiaochui took out a book and handed it to Meng Xing cherishingly. The book is also the exercise he is practicing now. I have already asked my senior brother, and he said he can teach you, he said again. Meng Xing shook his head and said, thank you. However, I don't need it now. I already have a Dharma Protector to help teach me, and she also taught me a set of exercises. Besides, you are better than me in this book. This Yang Xiaochui is still very good to Meng Xing. He is also trustworthy and does what he says. Meng Xing was also very grateful. The other party really regarded him as a brother. You also found a senior protector to teach you? When did this happen? Yang Xiaochui said in surprise. It happened a few days ago, Meng Xing said. Yu reading www.yuukanshu.com. Have you successfully opened your pulse? No, she appreciates me. I didn't succeed in opening my pulse, and she had to teach me, Meng Xing said. Cow. Yang Xiaochui raised his thumb and asked curiously, which senior sister is it? This senior sister is really good. Senior sister Xiao. Yang Xiaokui's eyes widened immediately and said, Xiao Yuluo Xiao Hufa. Yes. Meng Xing said. Brother really admires you. Yang Xiaochui said enviously, senior sister Xiao is something that even senior brother Li has to look up to, and her cultivation base is stronger than senior brother Li. Every time senior brother Li talks about her, he admires her very much, but he doesn't at all dare to find her. This senior brother Li, who taught Yang Xiaochui, must have had unrequited love. Compared with Hufa Huang, Hufa Ye, and Hufa Zhang, he was a bit self-aware. However, Xiao Yuluo's charm is really great, and it almost hooked all the souls of the protectors. Even that Zhang Suntu wanted to join in, and he wanted to use himself as his microphone, eating what was in the bowl and looking at what was in the pot. Meng Xing thought in his heart, but he smiled slightly and didn't say anything more. The two chatted for a while before Yang Xiaochui left. After Meng Xing finished chopping wood, he continued to walk around outside. When encountering a relatively special situation, the system would activate and let him get rewards. After picking up a wave of wool, Meng Xing was satisfied and came to the outside of a remote yard. 3 options appeared in front of him. 1. Continue to move forward. 2. Go into the yard to check it out. 3. Shouting, you two are hiding in a private meeting. Don't think I don't know. Meng Xing's scalp was numb. He chose the first option and left here quickly.